This is Nicole with CellBotics. This is Michelle with
How you doing?
CellBotics. And we'll let you introduce yourself.
I'm Rob Link with the Repair Association.
All right. And so we're here today. We're just going to ask him a few questions about the Right to Repair Act and what that means for people entering the industry. So the first question was, what does this mean for someone opening a store versus the user of a device? So we'll see if you can elaborate on that.
Yeah, sure can. So for repair shops, it's important that we have access to quality parts or OEM parts, tools, diagnostic equipment, syncing equipment that right now the OEMs are starting to only have. So the good example there is the serialization of parts, whether it's batteries or screens, which is prompting error messages on people's phones. So now in a OEM shop or somebody that's authorized, by Apple, they have a tool to be able to, sync those parts together and no error messages, no problems, and everything seems great for the customer. So that's one of our biggest goals for repair shops, is getting an even playing field there.
Okay.
So that, we're basically asking the OEMs to provide, parts, diagnostic equipment, schematics. I mean, anything that they would provide to one of their authorized facilities, we're asking that they provide some sort of program. We know they're not just going to give it away, but something that's fair and reasonable is really our biggest ask.
Got it.
in right to
Okay.
repair
So,
legislation.
because I guess I was under the misunderstanding that this was more for the user to receive that information.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of messages going around, right?
Yeah. Maybe I was reading that wrong. So.
Yeah, and I mean, right to repair encompasses a lot of areas. In fact, most recently, we've brought farmers.
I was just going to say that you're also talking about different types of equipment. Okay.
Yeah. So you're looking at the computerization or digitation of a lot of different types of equipment. So in the case of farmers, it's tractors.
Yes.
So much like our modern cars, are becoming computers, so are tractors. So they add a lot of neat tools to farm equipment, but the problem is that farmers can't fix their own equipment.
I know, I heard that. I actually watched a little news edit about that.
Yeah.
It was pretty sad.
It
$1 million
is.
piece
It really
of equipment
is.
they can't fix.
Yeah. I mean, it goes down to the fact of them not even being able to replace a light bulb.
I know. I've heard about it. It's very simple things. Yeah.
Yep.
So even though our devices are, I mean, they're getting up there, $1,200.
Sure.
The Fold was $2,500. So that would be the same thing. How do you think that the Right to Repair compared to the IRP program that Apple has launched? Do you know much about that?
Yeah, I know a lot. In fact, there's an article just came out this past week by Vice, who got a copy of the contract, verified it with multiple sources. We know some of those people they were talking to, and they did a really good job. I believe the reporter's name was Maddie Stone with Vice. And what they found in the IRP program is what we all thought, and that is that it's going to be a very difficult program for any repair shop really to implement. They're very invasive.
We actually I tried to go take CellBotics through the approval program, and just the program itself and even reaching someone and getting a response was very difficult. And the responses I were getting were very automated, and the information that they wanted was very, I felt like was very evasive, for getting parts,
Well, on the back end side of it, they demand in their contract to get access to customer data. So imagine this, and that is that if you go into an Apple store and want to buy an iPhone with cash, you don't have to give them any of your personal data, okay?
Yeah.
But what they want from repair shops is the ability to get, or they're telling repair shops, they would have to get all of the data on every single one of their customers and save that data so that the Apple could have access to it later. Now, and when I say data, I know in the repair business, data means a lot to us, a lot of different things. So, the customer information, so their name, their address, their personal information.
Now, isn't this something that Apple won't even, because they won't breach phones for the FBI, so they want that information, but they
expect repair shops to give that information to them. And the topper on it, really the icing on the cake to me and to a lot of people, is the fact that if you, let's say you join the IRP, you're an IRP for a year, let's say, or 6 months, because you may get frustrated after a little while. So then they hold in that contract the ability to come back for a period of 5 years after your contract as an IRP ends, to come back into your business and get that information should they want it or ask for it.
Wow.
That's in their contract.
Wow. And in that contract, I haven't seen the vice. I will go look it up and read it.
Yeah, it's a good article.
Yeah.
It's a good article.
Did they mention about them making an independent repair shop stop using like third-party parts?
Yeah, there's talk about what they call counterfeit, but they hold the right to be able to judge that.
Oh, okay.
So
it's a very gray area.
There's a lot of gray.
Yeah.
There's a lot of gray for the repair shop, not a lot of gray for Apple, because Apple makes the rules.
I understand. Yeah, that's
case.
true.
Yeah.
We try to talk about that in class, is this gray area when it comes to parts and different things that you're selling and ordering and where you're getting them from and everything.
Yeah.
I had some other questions. Do you have
Sure.
your
I
text them to you? I can't remember.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, I have a question.
Yeah, please.
Because we are instructors,
Mhm.
what do you think about as far as students coming in today? Is the field still wide open, or do you think it's shrinking for repair?
Well, I think that it has been shrinking, but let me just say, the pie is big and getting bigger.
Yes.
Okay? The problem is that without right to repair, what's happening is that the ability for independent repair people is getting smaller.
Okay. Yes, I do understand that. Yeah.
So, it's like every time we push that piece of our pie out a little bit, Apple or Samsung or somebody, one of the other OEMs kind of pushes it back in.
Yeah.
So really what we're trying to do is make sure that not only do we, get right to repair passed and make that piece of the pie bigger, but also make it easier and make customers more aware of repair. And I boil it down really to 3 points about what we do with the Repair Association, and this will kind of fit into what you're saying.
Okay.
The biggest 3 problems that we see are advocacy, so right to repair, awareness. It's a huge issue.
Yeah.
That not a lot of repair people think about, and a lot of repair people, I don't know if you do any training for marketing.
We do.
Yes.
We do a little bit of training for marketing.
Okay.
We do have a full business day where we talk about exposure, social media ranking, and brand, just growing your brand locally and dominating your community and things like that.
Yeah, and it's so critical.
It is, but it's also a challenge.
Most repair people are not good at that.
Yeah, and it's a challenge also when you're talking to repair shops, because we actually offer a program for SEO now because it was such a problem. We started this last month.
Good. Yeah.
And but even just speaking to shops, they feel like, oh, it's not important, or it's not going to help my bottom line, or Google is blocking everything.
Right.
Google is blocking the keywords under AdWords, but if you take the time to rank organically and pay attention to your My Google business page and your social media and your blog posts, and you do that, if you can't do it yourself, you partner with someone who can do it, you will grow in your area organically.
Right.
But they're just, a lot of them I talk to, they feel defeated. They're like,
well, yeah, and here's a number to throw at them, because everybody, trust me, it doesn't who they are. If they've been in the business for one day or they've been in the business for 10 years, they think that they've seized their market, and they haven't.
yes, exactly.
It's a continuous thing.
It's a continuous
When you
thing.
talk about social media, I do a lot of research online of repair companies and look at them, and I'll see that they've stopped posting on Twitter, they've stopped posting on Facebook, but they're still a business. And when I talk to them, they'll say, "Oh yeah, business has been down," and I'll say to them, "Why don't you just throw a tweet out there?
Yeah.
Just throw a tweet that says, 'I fixed phones.'"
Yes, yeah.
I actually talked to a young lady recently who has her own repair shop. And I kind of mentor her a little bit, and I told her, I said, I've noticed on social media you're talking more about life rather than repair.
Yeah.
Okay. And so she said, yeah, whatever. And I said, give it a try, right?
Yeah.
And so she spent a week just talking about repair, and her business doubled.
Exactly. I get people that come in that we're talking to that already own shops, but then for new people, they come in and the first thing I say before we even start for the day, I say, I want you to know right now, the most important thing to you entering this industry is your online presence, your web, and they look at me cross-eyed like, wait, I thought my tools or my inventory. I say, you can have $1 million in inventory, and they could be sitting right here. No one's going to walk in that door unless you're showing up online.
I used to own a chain of repair stores in the Washington, D.C. area. One of my stores, my flagship store, sat on one of the busiest roads in the area. Okay, close to 100,000 cars drove by that location every day, and it was a commuter road. So it's one of those roads that it was pretty much the same people, right? The people from out here were going to work here, and they drove on this road every day, right? After year 2, 3, 4, 5 of being in business, we still had people come in and say to us, I drive by here every day, but I never knew you were here.
Yeah, people don't pay attention.
Yeah.
they're not looking around their surroundings.
They're not, exactly. They don't
They're
see
tunnel vision.
what we think they
That's
see.
right.
Exactly.
What they see is on here.
On here, most of the time they're driving and they got it up and
Exactly. They could probably find a shop like mine at the time faster sitting in traffic on their phone than they could looking over their shoulder and saying, oh look, there's a place that fixes phones, right?
100%. Oh, you're so accurate. That's what I tell people. I say when they go to leave the class, I say now in a month or whatever, if you go on, if you've got a store within that week, that time you open it, you should be able to have a setup where someone's driving, they open maps, they put cell phone repair, and you have the ability to show up at least on maps.
Right.
If you do it right.
Mm-hmm.
And I say test it out. Drive past your place of business, type in cell phone repair. If you don't come up, you have a problem.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it's like sometimes it's like talking to a wall.
Yep.
It's like I say in class, the saddest thing for CellBotics is when I hear a store owner who's been doing this for 15 years and they're closing.
Right.
I had a guy in my store who is buying a guy in our class last week who just bought a store that was doing $45,000 a month. Now the gentleman only sold the store because he's relocating to Las Vegas and opening another store.
Mm-hmm.
But he didn't even have a website going or anything. And so this student of mine is like, whoa, how much more am I going to make with this? This is doing almost $1 million in revenue a year. Mm-hmm. Imagine if I went, Oh,
absolutely.
So that's great. That's what I wanted to also ask you. That was what your experience was, just you personally, the Right to Repair Act people experience in the industry. Because I feel like the people that are coming to us, they're just hearing about this for the first time from us.
Yeah,
So
sure.
they don't understand who you guys are.
Right.
You know what I mean? So.
Well, we started in 2013 as an organization. Back then it was fighting more the digital locking of devices or more specifically being able to unlock a phone.
Got it. To leave your carrier.
Right, exactly.
Not remove the screen lock, just for you.
They
They all come and they think it's screen lock.
I know.
I have to explain.
I know. I'm glad you bring it down because sometimes we in the industry, we talk at this level that people just don't get. Right?
Yeah, we are good with beginners. That's what we do.
That's what we do. We teach beginners all day.
Absolutely. So we started in 2013 and it was mainly to fight the unlocking because the recommendation, it was really just a rule at the Library of Congress, believe it or not.
Yes, they would vote on it every couple of years,
right.
and it would a few years it'd be illegal, next few years it'd be illegal. Yeah.
Exactly. So we pushed hard there, and that was our original kind of founding principles.
Awesome.
Was to get that unlocking thing permanent, and it did.
It did, yeah.
Later in 2013, it became 100% legal, and they didn't have to renew it or anything. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess we got kind of emboldened by that. And we said, there's other battles, with repair, because we could see even back then how the OEMs were squeezing the repair market, right? Yeah. So as a matter of fact, I'll give you a good example. When I first started my repair business, I used to get referrals from the Apple store. Yeah, I know. You know what a big deal that is.
My eyes.
Because that's like, the golden ring.
Right?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Wow.
So when we first started, because I had built a good relationship with the local Apple store with a previous business I had, and I had a great working relationship with them. And repair was brand new to them. They had no idea what to do. Okay? So they were happy to send customers to me because they knew we did a great job.
Wow.
Okay? Now I'm sure Apple's probably going to say we never did that,
Yes,
but they did.
Don't quote us.
They did.
Yeah.
But what happened was that, and as a result of us doing that, and I'm sure other businesses across the country, Apple realized that repair was a valuable thing. And so as they started to get more into it, they started to restrict the way repair worked. And I'll give you another example of what happened to my business. One afternoon, I got a phone call. I was up in my main office in my warehouse. I got a phone call from one of my shops, and then shortly after, a call from another one of my shops that the police were there.
Oh, no. For what?
So what happened, okay, of course I panic. Right?
Yes.
Yeah. And I'm going down to my main store and like I said, getting a call from one of my other stores. As it turned out, what happened was happening all over the country. And that is that an ICE agent, so the police in this case, flashing a badge, ICE is more than immigration, they do custom enforcement also.
A lot of people don't know that.
Right.
I say it in class and they say,
yeah.
I'm like, no, it doesn't apply just to
illegals,
immigrants.
Right. So they showed up at 5 of my shops at the exact same time, one afternoon, okay, and came in, flashed the badge, and demanded access to our inventory. Well, they didn't have a warrant. So most of my guys were like,
No.
Yeah, unfortunately, a couple of my guys had a little too much familiarity with the law. It wasn't because they were going to law
come
school.
on in.
Yeah. But yeah, they were like, you got a warrant. They're like, no, but make it easier. I mean, they were really harassing and abusive, to my staff. In fact, one of the young men who worked for me, I'm not going to say what happened exactly, just because I don't want it on tape.
Yeah.
But he was so distraught during the situation, he ended up quitting.
Wow, I believe it.
Yeah, because it just scared, he had never interacted with a man with a badge before, and it scared him.
Yeah.
One of my other guys got a little too talky, I guess, mouthy, with the ICE agent, and the ICE agent almost put him in handcuffs.
Wow.
When he had no right to. So that's how the market has gone. I know of distributors as well, which I'm sure you've heard of stories.
We have those stories. We actually put some in our book.
Yeah.
We just want people to read about them so they can be informed.
So unfortunately, some of the OEMs, in this case specifically Apple, are using little pieces of the law that weren't meant for this. Okay, they were meant to protect people from copying videotapes back in videotape days. Yeah. They were meant, for DRM, for music, to protect digital music, right? They weren't meant for a phone manufacturer to say, you can't fix what you own. Yeah. Because that just doesn't make sense, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if I buy something and
I
own this, I should
be able to take it anywhere that is a reputable repair shop and get it fixed.
Absolutely. Yeah. When I was a kid, I went and bought a 10-speed bike. Okay? I saved up my money, I bought a 10-speed bike. And I love my 10-speed bike, but I didn't like the color. Yeah. So one day, I took my 10-speed bike apart. Every single little piece of that bike. Now, my dad came home and he almost whooped me. Yeah. Because he's like, what are you doing? And I didn't know how to paint a bike, right? Yeah. But I wanted it to be dark blue. I didn't like light blue. Okay. But you know what? I said to him then, and I say to anybody now, it was mine. I own that bike.
That's right.
So if whatever I wanted to do with that bike, I should be able to do it. And it's the same thing with our phones now. Just people don't really get that. They don't connect that. They don't. Because the manufacturer of these phones are saying, oh no, you can't do that.
Yeah, that blows my mind. Yeah, I've heard that Apple could come after the end user for even getting it repaired.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Which is scary when you think
and where they're really walking a tight line is with warranty support. Because they've rejected warranties on people's phones saying that you've had it fixed somewhere else. But they can't do that. There's a legal precedence called the Magnuson Act that basically says that you can't punish an end user if they get a device fixed. So there's little stickers we've all seen on electronics.
They had like last year or the year before they made take them off of everything.
They can't do that.
Yeah.
That is that's fake news, my friends.
That's fake news. Verified here.
Fake news. Yeah.
It's funny that you brought up the law because I don't know who sent them, but a few years after CellBotics opened, I was about an hour away and I got a phone call and it was a gentleman saying I'm with the FBI and I need the owner of CellBotics to be here now. Right. And I was like, what? Can we schedule? Is this an emergency? No, you need to be here now. I'm like, well, I'm an hour away. So here I am, having a heart attack,
Yeah.
I show up and he thought it was a joke. He said, were you upset? And I said, well, I was worried. What's going on? He said, well, I need to sit down with you and I need to break down some things with you and make sure you're not training certain things. He said, I've traveled all the way he traveled like 3 hours away. Really? Just to come and sit down with us. And that's when we really implemented some things that I informed people about. Sure. Yeah. Some people look at it as, well, we're scaring people or giving them too much info that isn't really needed. Well, when an FBI agent sits with you and says, don't do this, don't do that, we're going to pass that along,
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
I never knew who sent them, how they found out about us. And he was gone, and I never heard
there's all kinds of mysteries out there.
The Men in Black,
If I believed in conspiracy theories, I'd point the finger at one company specifically. But I don't know.
But the thing about it is, and I apologize,
please.
But we do CompTia A+, which is vendor neutral. And what we've been telling students is, this is your groundbreaking point, because we teach beginners, as you know.
Sure.
So for the beginning student, having a school like ours, do you think that's a step in the right direction?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, knowledge is power, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, building, for any technician, I used to train my own technicians in my company. And so it's building them up, but they have to understand from step one, that they've got to learn this stuff.
Yes.
Do you think that with CompTia, because we do the hardware prep piece of it, so we don't actually do the testing and all of that, but they come to us to prep for it. Do you feel like if somebody was to get the CompTia certification, since it includes a mobile piece, does that protect them somehow? In the ability to repair? No? Okay.
No. In fact,
I was thinking that because it is included in there, but
Sure.
we've never.
Yeah, it's to be honest with you, I like CompTia.
Yes.
I'm not excited about it.
Yeah.
I think they could be doing a lot more modern, certification training.
Yeah.
In fact, I know a lot of cell phone shops that, it doesn't mean anything to them when somebody comes with a CompTia certification.
Yeah.
So there's a void there as well in the industry.
Well, that's why we teach it. That's
Sure.
why,
It's
and me working with Nicole, that's why I was like, CompTia is getting into it.
Right.
But cell phone is unregulated.
Yeah.
And that was part of the problem with CompTia. I'm not saying CompTia is, but the thing about it is they're coming along, and don't forget now, because we offer the premium bundle, they get the 60-hour video course with it.
Yeah.
So
well,
it's gotten
Michelle's
better.
coming from the computer world.
Yeah.
So
that's
she's
what
dealing with something different. People that are getting jobs in IT.
Yeah.
So me, I'm talking for people that are opening stores, doing mobile repair. So. I don't have any other questions, but I really appreciate you answering these questions because we hear this all the time.
My pleasure.
Is there anything else you want to tell someone who's entering the industry? Anything that you want to say to them?
Well, join Repair.org
Okay,
is actually the first thing. We're actually going to be expanding our membership massively. We're also going to be working with companies like yours, hopefully,
Yes.
to develop standards and to develop our own certifications.
Yeah, we would love that. I've actually wanted to talk to you about that.
Yeah.
Off camera.
Don't tell. But yeah, I mean, it's, getting involved with the industry is important.
It is.
It really is. A few years back we had, some industry events. And now we haven't had them. So, we're trying to do more with industry events to get repair people together.
Awesome.
This is kind of one of my first steps. In fact, this evening, just saying, hey, you know what? I'm doing a bunch of stuff in Atlanta. Let's see if anybody wants to come and learn more about it.
I'm so glad you did
repair.
that. So we can sit here and talk to you. Okay, well, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Any other questions, Michelle?
One more question.
Okay,
Yeah.
please.
Please let them know exactly where they need to go as far as repair.org and who you are.
Just repair.org. Repair.org. That simple. So, and I'm Rob. I'm one of the directors of the association. And we're doing lots of great things for repair people. I mean, honestly, my job is to double everybody's business.
There you go. We like that. There you go.
I want everybody to do twice as much business because it's out there.
So we want you to also.
Absolutely. And that's why we train beginners.
Yeah.
I'm Michelle, the computer lady. That's my partner.
I'm Nicole, cell phone repair trainer, and we'll see you in class.